Hello and welcome to Ninja Node Devlog number 1, where we talk about how this stuff works. Today we are going to work on building out our dream here that I have written out. So in the first part here that we did not actually record, we kind of took this sketch and broke it down a little bit into what stuff is configurable about this thing. This is go inside this already existing menu. This is what we currently have, and the bots menu is friggin' empty. So this is kind of what we're filling in, and this is what's going to control the bots, because right now what controls the bots is commenting out or uncommenting some lines that say start the bots. And as Wandian was able to find out, you could just make as many as you want. There are no guardrails. It will happily do everything. So, and so this is kind of the idea here. We're going to have these single entities. Then each one of these is a configuration for a bot. We're going to say whether or not it's actually turned on. Something I didn't draw here, but we need for sure, because you probably don't want these things just showing up all the time. And yeah, we're going to do the basics. So, Dorian, tell me, have you ever done HTML before?
Small amount.
Small amount. So over here we got the world's most basic valid HTML. Technically, you can just do text. And over here I have browser, and there it is. There's our minimum text here. But really, to be proper and nice, you use this. This says this doc type HTML is the basic HTML5 doc type. It says, hey, everything I do in here should use those rules and nothing before it. So it lets you be in the relatively new space of 2010 or something like that. Because like HTML before then was kind of a wild world that involved font tags and other bad ideas. So this one's pretty cool. We have First, we have the HTML tag. Anything outside this is kind of not meant to be real, and this is what we call the document. So everything in the document context, we can see that even if we only have text, it fills it in for us over here in the elements thing. So when you make text and put HTML in there, what you're basically doing is appending to this thing called the DOM, a virtual thing that you can then say, hey, each one of these tags is actually an object that I can go do stuff with. So if we want to change what's in the body, we can go and select that and do stuff with it. So when we make tags here, like I'm going to go ahead and save this. There's no thing. So this is actually just we can ignore the import now. And we write that, and I refresh it. There's hello world. There's our other garbage that I had put in there, but there's our text element here. And we probably don't want to do that. We probably want to say something about it. And you can go to the MDN Web Docs has a full thing on every single default cool element that can do cool stuff in HTML. Everything we're doing here is all part of this HTML standard stuff that's been around for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. Some of them have been, and some of them have not. The video one is right there, where you can basically just embed a video with something as simple as marking down the different sources, what kind they are. There's even, you can customize the controls in the player. These are all stock. They come with the browser. And some simpler ones like an unordered list. Pretty simple. We can simply copy this over and throw this right here. And be like that. And because I have my linter on, as soon as I save it, it will fix the styling for me. I don't even have to think about it.
Cool.
And we'll make an H1. I'll move this over here. So the H1 is inside of it, because what's inside of the tag is its contents. Save, fresh. Hey, look at that. We've got an H1, a UL that is the whole list. So its contents are children. These are children, you can tell because they're indented, and they're basically just content of that. And look inside this li has children of this. And then this has children, these two. And you can see what that does is it's the compartmentalization. So inside of cheese is blue cheese and feta cheese, the two types of cheese. And then milk doesn't have any. And then we could add more here if we wanted to. But anyway, that's HTML. That's the basics. And that's literally all we're doing, but we're also adding styling. So if I
So
select, yeah,
it's just a kind of a way to take human language and display it on the screen.
exactly. It is a really cool idea, one of many for kind of organizing data that will be displayed on screen. So if you use these standard HTML elements to contextualize the data, when you use a UL or anything with an L in there, because there's an OL. Let's just go ahead and do that. OL. You can see what that does. It's a default representation that now changes. So if you're saying, hey, this is an ordered list, here's all the items, you don't have to worry about the rendering having numbers. It's there and part of it, and it manages the indentation. So without any styling, you can have a really, really, really simple representation, readable of your stuff, and you can reinterpret that data in any way that you want. You can actually go through and select these things and then go find the data that's inside of them if you cared to. If you go, so this is your big toolbox. If all you have to do is press F12, and you'll have elements, console, sources, network, and some other fun stuff. But for the most part, these are the big ones. If stuff's getting slow, you might go into performance or memory. Application is where the data is stored. So if you have data associated with a local location, so this one is literally I dragged the file from the file explorer over into Chrome. You can just do that anytime. You just drag it straight over, and you're looking at a local file. This is not the best way to do stuff, and it's not how we do stuff for NinjaNode, but it's like saying, hey, all you need, make a blank text file. You can start writing HTML. I wrote my very first web page in Notepad. It was great. You get full control. Do whatever you want. Okay, so an actual server. We use Express in NinjaNode. So that means we need to run the application locally. And recently, what I have been doing, what version of Node? Okay, NVM use 20, please. Yeah, I've been doing everything on 20. And I have the debugger automatically running, which is hilarious. So if anything, you can set up in VS Code to automatically debug anytime it runs, including install. So if anything bugs out in install, you can fix it. It's amazing. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's cool.
npm run dev 8188. That's going to host on 8188, which is where I've been going recently. I don't know why. Let's go there, and we should see NinjaNode. There's NinjaNode running. Nice and loud. Okay. We're going to go here, and then we're going to go to /test HTML, and we should be able to see there's the thing that we've been doing. It's not at the file. It's because I put it in a specific folder, and that's the public folder here. And this is kind of, I've seen this done before, but basically the idea is you just tell inside of the server, you say, where's my static path? And it's like, there it is. You just say express.static. So it takes the entire folder and makes it the base for everything. So unless you have defined some other path, like /users, game, etc., it's going to look here for a file and then return that as the file type. So one of the reasons why everything is in MJS format is because The default stuff, like a couple years ago, you literally weren't allowed to import as a module anything that wasn't .mjs. Hilarious. I'm not sure why. Okay. So, that's the basics for HTML. It doesn't matter so much. Really, we need to be working in our app, which means that we're going to be going here. Here. Now, if you look and we refresh, this one's default. That's because if we go to the file, I try and name things correctly, but it's also, there is a method to the madness of where to put shit. Because that's a super important thing to get right. So all the UI stuff is in a different place than all of the Pixie stuff, which is basically we have a canvas here. And Pixie manages the canvas. So take a look here. There's the stage. It takes up the whole back here, but we're allowed to have other things on top of that thanks to CSS. We could just kind of put whatever stuff overlaid. We can also put things underneath it, but like I don't even know why we'd want to do that. Let's go over to, so this is inside of the window, inside the UI. So it's not data. It is a module under UI. Everything's under components. Probably didn't need all those folders. Elements are little tiny things like buttons or inputs or something. I don't even think I have an input right now. Button, icon, slide, and slides. A slide is this thing. It's where you can slide between these multiple elements, and then it goes to those things. So if we go back here, I'm on the third slide. This puts me back to the first slide. It's a fun kind of visual thing, and I am actually doing some really fun things to make sure that the elements that aren't on screen are not selectable. Which we can look at later. Let's not get too distracted. What we're trying to do here is change the default so that we can debug and just go straight to the bot screen.
Yeah.
All right. To do that, we're going to go, so not an element. A feature is a primary thing, and a widget is more like a thing used inside one of the features. Ninja Window Main is the controller that contains a Ninja window. Some of that stuff is kind of all mixed up. Let's go take a look at Ninja Window Main. I think this is all the stuff that used to just live inside of the index, and it was kind of getting really big. There's the window, and here's our tabs. So part of the component model is you break up all the bits and pieces into their kind of any more advanced logic for them kind of gets bundled into themselves. So let's take a look at this screen right here. You got a bunch of stuff. Let's look at this. Join the fun right here. This is a ninja button. It's passing over the attribute of solid, and it has the class of join. And then inside of it, we are passing just the text, join the fun. That makes the implementation for a button way simpler than the actual button code, which you'd need to put in for everything. So let's go ahead and take a look at where the hell this is. I think the easiest way to do it would just search join the fun. Join the fun. Ninja fly join. That's correct. That is exactly the right one. All right, so inside Ninja site join. This whole thing, we're actually putting in an icon inside of it for the chevron because there wasn't an icon for this. This is an up chevron that I'm rotating 90 degrees. I love that I could just do that. That's part of why I wrote these this way, so that any way that you need to use something, this is your building block. This is your Lego piece. So Ninja Button has a bunch of amazing things that it can do that I've just kind of threw in here, and you don't need to put them in. They all have defaults, but you can change things like if there's a specific piece of text that you need to put on there, or if it is disabled, so or a active state, two completely separate things. You can set the border size because I was like, hey, I think buttons should have some kind of border. You can set a border size of 0 and then it won't have that border. And that's actually what I'm doing right here. And the border is kind of special because it contains some funky. It's not just a regular border. It's this pixel border that like leaves a little square out in the corner. I thought that was super fun. So I just kind of baked that into the border details here. Anyway, so yeah, kind of the idea here is when we need to make elements on the screen, what stuff can we share between things? Stuff like buttons and other little elements and things like that. Like this gauge that literally just who's using the oh, I mean, I'm using them here, aren't I? Ninja button, ninja icon. No, I'm not using them here. I'm using them inside of this subscreen, which is another thing. I don't need to worry about that. Anyway, I've really had a lot of fun breaking these things down. So what do you want to specifically look at here? Because I think looking at the number of files can be super scary, but
Yeah.
I can show you what's basically happening here. So for each folder, we have an index file. So let's look at the features. There's an index file. It does exactly what it says. It takes whatever thing is being exported from one of the files inside the folder. That's a dot slash. When you say dot slash, you're saying from the current folder, go look here. And that's basically what this does is it goes and says, hey, from public modules or slash is what that looks like to the actual web server. Modules, UI, components, features, blah, blah. And it'll push it up so that when I import from features, which I do inside of the index file for the components. See, this just goes and pulls from those index files. And then I import that from this, which this runs the hybrids thing for define. It'll go and pull the object that's inside of every single one of these things, because that's all this does, is it exports a single object here, an object here to be defined. It's just like that. And you can put whatever key and value you want. And to export it, you just say export. It's const. And then you give it a name. And you say equals, and that's it. So now this is exporting two things. One thing called name with a single key called key, and then a value called value. And I'm doing the exact same thing. This is the exact same thing. And it's just basically inputting the format that this thing needs, loops through every single one of them by their name, and then shoves them in. And then suddenly they become whatever we want. So when we make a new one, we can say exactly what HTML it actually is. Because when we look at an implementation here, like we have so Ninja button actually is just HTML, except for here where it uses a Ninja icon. But you can use any of the HTML elements that you define here in any of the other HTML elephants that you define. So every new thing can include all of the other things that you want to use. I don't recommend putting a button inside of a button. That would be bad. Don't do it's probably a bad idea because every time it would try and render itself, it would have to render itself again. Don't do that. Let's not do
Yeah.
that. Let's not open Pandora's box. Okay. So, what other questions? How can I because it's like we're composing things with other pieces. So if we look at
Right.
any of the NinjaBots is the file we want to work in. Notice it's very small. There's not very much in there. But if we go to the Ninja roster, you can see how this works. This is basically just, we got a div. This is your kind of the most boring element. It just gives you a box and then contains all the stuff in it Divs have a few other things that they kind of come with, but for the most part, if you're just building Legos on your screen, divs are what you end up using. You give them a class, and then you reference the class. So this is a wrapper, so we say dot wrapper, and then all of this stuff is applied as the styles, which this does all the fun stuff.
Okay.
Um, and
So
then yeah, go ahead.
so I guess my sort of thinking is if I wanted to make a new um page or something, or just wanted to edit the bots page to have
Yeah.
content on it, I would declare that in the index for that section that I'm calling to that file or whatever.
Mhm.
And then I go into the NinjaBots MJS and
We
then do the
actually have to do
styling.
that. We have to do that here,
Yeah.
because this thing is gonna need its own subcomponent for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we have to make a whole new
Yeah, but we can see
MJS.
this is the minimum here that you need. We can go and we can start immediately saying stuff like "Hello world."
And
Say
the contents of oh
did I break something?
there was a missing arrow bracket somewhere, I remember.
Element tag defined tag name is required. Where did I mess something up? I swear I messed something up. If you ever think you messed something up, go check out your GitHub desktop. It'll tell you all the stuff you changed. Now, admittedly, I was in the middle of changing some things. But I was working on this feature, so that shouldn't be too bad. Oh, this is wrong. I should not have left that in there. That's a ninja button.
Oh.
So super easy to break stuff. Just go look at this thing, see what it's complaining about. This one, unfortunately, not super helpful. Because basically what happens is that every name is put together. So this thing has to be unique across the entire app. If not, it will step on the other one and squish it. Also, anything that does not have a tag defined will not be properly will not work for this error. So you have to give it a name. I'm gonna not. This doesn't belong here anyway. That we think about it. So I'm just gonna refresh, and here we go. And hey, look, Hello World is now inside of the bot screen.
Okay. So
Uh,
essentially we have to make it a new MJS, which is like HTML
let's
but
let's start writing things. Let's
different.
start like actually looking at it here. So I'm gonna go look at my picture. So we started saying, hey, what is this stuff in here? We have a ninja icon, we have a ninja button, we have a ninja toggle for the alignment thing and some other stuff. So we could just kind of start drawing that out. Do we want anything other than bots, or what should the title of this actually be?
Bot builder.
Ooh, bot builder. All right, we got bot builder. All right, so back over to. All right, so we're gonna go to the bots, ninja bots. We're gonna say this is the everything holder, so I'll just have a single div, and that'll hold all my stuff. And we don't need this, but we are gonna say that this is gonna be a new div class. Class equals bot. So an individual bot is going to be this config here. We're going to have an icon for the ship. We can do that first. And we'll just kind of imagine it as ninja icon. We say name equals ship A. Let's just see how that worked. There it is. So cute. Cute. Size equals 75. Nice. Angle equals 45. Hey, look at that. It looks nice. Okay.
There you go.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, right. Okay,
That's
so we
pretty straightforward.
right. So we say dot bot and so class equals ship. So this is for the whole thing. Let's say border 1 pixel solid green for right now. That's not correct. That's shouldn't do it like that, but that'll at least show us the border of the thing that we're working with. It probably wants some padding, 10 pixels. And then we want to do dot bot, and then we'll select dot ship and background color red. See how that looks. So we got our
Oh,
um
interesting.
so if you're in the console or anywhere, if you click this button right here, you can then go select any element that you can see. And it will also tell you what the thing that's clickable is, if in case you're having trouble with clicking. So here inside of our shadow root is the thing inside of NinjaBots. There's our style tag and the thing that we're kind of editing here. There's our dot bot, and there's our dot ship, and there's this. I like to go in here and then say border radius 10 pixels. And we got a circle. There's a button over here you can press. Boop. Let's rotate this Pixel 7 phone. This is what we got.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure this thing works and looks okay. Like there's still bugs here. This full screen. I mean, this is kind of what you need to. Yeah. Anyway,
Huh.
distract.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, we need a. Let's say so the header tags go H1 to H6, I guess. This is the biggest, most important one. This is supposed to be reserved for page titles only. But you can use them for whatever you want. You literally can have as many as you want. And we don't really care too much, but really H1s are only reserved for the biggest things. I think this right here is an H2, which is like, this is slightly less important than that. It's all the stuff underneath this will be H3 and below. So I feel like this is an H3 kind of situation. Faux show, and it's going to be the name of the ship. This isn't the scimitar, I don't think. Whatever. Scimitar. If we put the icon inside of the H3, and then the text goes next to it, it'll kind of do this. And I think that's what I was thinking about ish. And then having two things down here. I'm not going to put these in right now. Let's go ahead and make some buttons. As you can imagine, look at this. Look how freaking easy this is. We just say ninja button. Button. And then any stuff we put inside here will be there. We can also leave it blank, not put anything in there, and then say icon equals. All of the icons you can see by going to the document root, node modules, HackerNoon, pixel icon library, and then there's a bunch of different formats here. I like this one. The SVG is good because here in the Mac we could just kind of make them big, and we can scroll through them. So we can use any of these, and we just use the name before solid. These are actually just the solid ones. The other ones don't have that, but because there's solid and regular.
Let's see.
Regular are thinner, and all you have to do is just say that it's solid, and it'll use the solid version. So if you want a thicker or a thinner version, you can choose which one you want.
Right.
All right. Ninja button icon equals trash. Save. Ta-da.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that. And it has all of the effects that all of the buttons do and everything else. You don't need to do anything else because the compartmentalization means this is as simple as it can get. And then it doesn't do anything by default except for its defaults, like making sound. I think you can make them quiet. Anyway, so there's our trash button. Let's see what solid looks like. Just say solid. We don't have to give it a value. Oh, I see. So it's filled in. I don't know. What do you think? So
I
this
like the not solid one.
and this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels good.
It matches the rest of them as well.
These ones switch between solid and not solid. You
Interesting.
notice?
Yeah.
To show that they're other state. So there's that button. I forget how to use Ninja Toggle. That's in Ninja setting here. Yes, this is a Ninja Toggle. We'll just grab this code over here. I do this all the time because I forget how these things work. So you can give it a value. I'm just going to say true. And you can give it titles for what's switching. Friend foes. Let's just see if this works. Friend. I don't. I think I have to do it like this. Okay. Ninja toggle. Stateful.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
I feel like this should be the on, and this should be the off.
Yeah, just because it turns red mainly.
Yeah. I like that. Not that that's like I did not mean for
Yeah,
that to
that's
be.
that's not like a permanent thing.
Mm-mm. There you can kind of see it. It's not as crazy as that blue, and the red is readable. And I think that's all that matters for right now. So we have our buttons. We were gonna fill this out a little bit more, so let's take a look. We need input for the name, with a value, which I haven't made an input thing yet. Everything that I've done it in has just been the native HTML, because that's the thing. You're either building with something that you build somewhere else, or you're building with HTML, and that's basically it. So we'll go ahead and put it right here, and we'll just say input type equal text slash input. Thanks for that, wrong. Okay, sure, why not? Value equal go. Does that work? You're not supposed to end an input. Is that it? You just do this? It's self-ending? Yeah, that's a fun one. Let's see if that works. Yep, there it is. Joe.
Nice.
It doesn't look anything like this.
Yeah.
You
Well,
want to
maybe
make one?
that's good because it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
I don't know. Maybe it
Well,
should.
this is kind of special. But it is a name. It's literally we're making a name thing here, and I don't know. This is allowed to be 20 characters long. I don't recommend that. You don't even properly see it, but all right. Let's not worry about that. Like we said, the content, the style and content matters less than just getting things on there. We wanted to drop down for personality. So the way that you do that in HTML is you say label. Change there, and then you say option select. And then you say option one value equals two. There we go. Okay. Does that work? Did I remember it? Did I do it correctly? I did. No. Wait.
It does.
Oh yeah. Dogs,
Huh?
dogs, dogs.
That
What?
worked.
Dogs. So yeah, that's how that works. It's a little bit different, but it lets you have these individual elements that you can kind of do stuff with. You can even hide these things. If we put the magic selector on here, you can see there's our select. There's our individual options. And you can even delete these or make new ones or something and enumerate them. Ain't that slick? I think the actual values that we wanted in here, which I think we wanted to try and define. Maybe I did. Yeah, this was my final version. Uh, Style, I think, is what it ended up being. Chatty? Is it
Chatty.
chatty?
I was
Uh,
thinking aggressive, calm, defensive, offensive,
I'm
which are kind of the
we're
same
we're
thing.
building we have a lot of faith in our future selves and in actually implementing these things.
Right.
I guess it doesn't matter too much. You could just kind of say it exists and
Maybe
implement it
just
later.
defensive, offensive is a reasonable ambition.
Um, gosh. Part of what I wanted to control in each of the bots was how much they talked. Because I
Yeah.
know you guys hated how much they were talking before. Admittedly, there's a giant missing feature, and that is the text chat showing up at all. If you don't open it, you never see it. Maybe you like that, but I mean, I looked at Minecraft recently. It has the same text chat that I designed it off of, where it takes up your freaking screen space. At least you can control the
Yeah.
size of it.
But the fact of the matter is, the only people using it are the humans who don't talk when you tell them to not talk. I guess more or less.
Um, are you saying bots should never talk?
Uh, maybe
I
maybe they.
feel like
I
there's
think
an
they should just
element
talk a
of
lot less.
ooh, there's so many fun opportunities for a bot to be fun and chatty. I
Yeah.
say fun. I don't know how actual fun it is, but if it's you and you're alone and there's only one other guy and he talks smack to you in a fun and interesting way, it gives it personality. It gives it a feeling for it. And if you want that, you should be able to have that maybe.
Well, the real
And
trick is we could integrate an LLM.
yes, 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 yes. You can always integrate an LLM and have it do more stuff. I wanted to kind of capture some part of that in personality. We can call this anything we want. Uh, I've been kind of equal style. I don't know if this word like fully says it. Like we should say what the things are that we want to control about the bots. So I have name. We have something about how chatty it is, and then maybe we have something about its defensive position
Or like
or
its play
the way
style.
that it fights.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have all our buttons? Uh, we also want a plus button over here to add stuff and the randomizer. Did we figure out what we wanted the personality to be? What options did we actually want in here?
So that it
Yeah,
can play in a
let's.
different way.
So we're gonna say that chattiness is attitude, and it's gonna be the top one's gonna be in yo face, stepped down. I don't know what I'm doing. And then it's
And this
almost polite.
it could be like
So
reserved
okay,
or
okay. It's
or
just a little nuts. So part of the actual thing that I wanted a more polite version to do would be to pay attention to what other people are talking and only talk when they're done. Because that's at least one thing that's happening is that they're just not caring about any other chats. I mean, I would be happy to throw away all of my current chat stuff and just have it go pull from pull
I
from
mean
some LLM we're
still
also
a
running this
fraction of a
server.
cent per call, but I mean I don't
Oh
know.
no, no, I mean we could run it on Toothless. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
see
we could
why
run it locally.
and then the difficulty is going to be this. So label difficulty. There we go. I can spell today. And then we're gonna do a slider input. Put this one down here. I think I could do that. I'm gonna set the max to be 100 and the value equals 50. So basically it'll just start at 50% and then you can kind of put it where you want it. And you can set the attitude there. And okay, I think that's it. How did you feel about the Enabled state. Does that make sense? I think it
I think
can't.
that makes sense.
I can't be default on off though. I feel like it needs to have actual.
Retired and employed.
Uh, when we're calling them bots, it's hard to start like humanizing them. Oh, the lore we can do.
Yeah,
Oh, the lore. All right, so let's go look at the picture here. Alignment, that's friend or foe. Style is personality or AKA. Okay, there's style. We're gonna call this attitude. It's gonna be great. There's our difficulty, whether or not it's enabled. Socket ID, which we get later after it connects. Alignment, that's friend or foe. There's the name. There's the ship. And there's the thing that tells hybrids how to store our data as multiple. And here's some shit that I have not contested at all. Some boilerplate for setting the storage via ID key. I don't know if it's gonna work. I've not tested that. Maybe it will. I've used something similar elsewhere, but I don't know. Okay. So now that we have this kind of fake thing up, let's actually finish the let's put the plus thing over here. So we've built all this. Look at all this shit we built.
wow.
So this is going to be one, this is just going to be the bot. So this is going to go, all this stuff is going to go into a new component that we'll get in a second. But first, let's kind of shrink it down a little bit. So dot bot, max width 300 pixel. Yeah, that kind of worked. Let's do that.
Sure.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hi.
Alright.
Welcome.
I know.
Believe it or not, none of this stuff existed, and Dorian built all of it.
Not really.
We just finished up kind of building out all of this stuff with existing components and some HTML.
Oh,
Doesn't do anything. It's not hooked up to anything, but it was pretty easy to put together, right, Dorian?
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Right. All right. So we got this little plus here. I was going to do it quick and dirty grid setup for this thing. So we're going to go select the whole thing inside of NinjaBots, the one div that we have around this. I'm going to go ahead and call it wrapper. Been doing that for a while. And then we have .wrapper. Host, by the way, is the parent container for this. So the actual NinjaBots here has everything that we put inside of the host. And then this can be overridden by things that contain it. So inside NinjaTab, we can override any of these host things, but we can't touch any of the things inside here. These shadow roots are separate, and any styles that you put in are just for it. It keeps things kind of clean. And that's so fun and nice to do sometimes. What am I doing? Oh, we're saying .wrapper. .wrapper. I think we're saying display grid. Display grid. Grid. There we go. Then we say grid template columns or columns. And we say how big these columns are. So we're going to say that this side here of the total is going to be two full rows. And then the side part, actually, you know what? It should take up the entire space. And then we should absolute size the plus icon area as I don't know what the size is. Let's just say 50 pixels. Oh, then we refresh, and hey, there it is.
Wow, look
uh,
at that.
as a fun aside, it is full height, I guess. So I'm so down. I don't know. I didn't really mean for that to be the case,
Maybe?
but I'm here. I don't know. We look. I designed it to be kind of floating over here. If it's taken up the side, maybe it doesn't make as much sense.
I think it'd look good if the square border around the bot builder is up against the edge of the vertical plus. And then it just kind of
This border right here?
yeah, and it moves over
So
to make
this
room for
is
the new
supposed
one.
to be for as many of these as we have.
Yeah.
This will start to make more sense as we get through it, but like this cleans this up enough for me to move on to the next step. So we're gonna make a whole new tag. We're gonna start entirely from scratch. I'm gonna make it inside of features. Even though it's more like a widget, I have some things already in here that are kind of using things that are close to them. I guess I did make Ninja Roster user inside of widgets, so it would make sense for the Ninja bots to actually live inside of widgets because it's a widget for the bot builder, even though it's not much of anything without it. I'm not gonna split hairs too much on this. Exactly where stuff lives is not nearly as important as making it. So grew. Okay, well I'll make it right here. New file inside of widgets. We're going to call it NinjaBot. The idea being that this is a child of NinjaBots, even though it's in a different folder. We don't need a whole lot in here, but we do need the string processor for hybrids. It's just HTML, so we say import HTML from hybrids. That's all we need to say. And then we're going to export our single export for this. It's a constant. We're going to say NinjaBot equals, and then we're going to say the tag name. Tag name is NinjaBot, Ninja-bot. That's how we're going to reference it. And then we need to add that to the index for widgets. And then we don't need to do anything else for that because widgets is already importing its thing. So we say export star from / it'll tell me where it is. NinjaBot. Save. So if we go over to our NinjaBot here, this is actually not going to do anything yet because even though we've defined our tag, we're not actually outputting anything. So there's a render key that we put in here, and we're going to basically have it return a function. We're going to use the super short arrow function here. So we just do open and close parentheses. The one thing it's going to send us is a thing called host. In hybrids, host just means the whole ass DOM object for the thing, for the implementation of this tag. So every NinjaBot tag that's put out there, render is run with the host. So everything that's set inside of it, like, I think that NinjaBot is going to have each one of these little config things inside of here is going to just take a single thing called config. And it's going to be a object. This is how you do an object attribute. Usually these things look like this. So you can say when you're actually implementing this, you say NinjaBot bot, and then you set value equals 5. So the default value will be 2. If someone never set value here, you'll never get that. And every time you run the render, which we usually don't use those brackets, we just say HTML. And then we put these 2 sharp quotes. These are special. They're the top left next to the numbers 1. Usually, that's what it is on my Mac keyboard. Might be a little different on yours. They're not a single quote, and they're not a double quote. It is a sharp quote. Sharp quotes let you do things like this, where you can reference actual values for things. So we could say host.value. Now this is going to return whatever this value is. I'm going to go ahead and just do this. Like, why beat around the bush? Let's just go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it in an H3 h3, and then we're going to see host.value. So I'll set the default value to 42. And with this done, and I'm going to refresh this, nothing's using it, but it being loaded and all that working means that we didn't break anything. So that's great news. We're going to go to NinjaBots, and I'm just going to go ahead and output NinjaBot right here. So we'll just say NinjaBot and save, refresh. There it is. Boop. That's all it does. We can go and inspect that thing in NinjaBot, and there's an H3. And there's its value, 42. If we go ahead and put an attribute in there, value equals 5. Fresh, value's 5. Ta-da! Amazing. So that's how we're going to do this. We're actually going to take all the HTML that we made before and jack it in there. Boop, boop. So now everything that was in there is going to be in here in NinjaBot. And then we can make as many of these as we need. So over in NinjaBot, we're going to replace all this crap with this crap. All right. One of the easiest ways to go and get values out of here is actually to use object destructuring, which this is an object, and we can go and get keys off of it by just using their names. So we could just say value like that, and whatever value is passed over, we can then use inside of this to show different values or do other things, which is actually how we're going to go fill in the values for all of these things. These actually do need values of some kind. I don't know. We haven't figured that part out yet. We'll get there. The important part is we can kind of see stuff. All right, with that there, let's make sure that this still renders. So we only have an NinjaBot here, and there's our value. And I think all of the stuff that we had for bot here and the input needs to be moved over as well. So we'll save that and go over here. To put a style in, we just say style tag, and then paste that style in there. And we have a main bot class. Let's refresh. Ta-da! Now we can go look at the HTML for this. We see that inside of NinjaBots, we have a NinjaBot. And inside of NinjaBot, we have all of that HTML that we made earlier. So now we can have multiple. We can go to NinjaBots, and we can then put another one here. It'll look the same. Ooh. So the reason why this is happening is that our grid is set up on our wrapper, but we have 3 items now when it expects 2 for the columns. And we did not define what happens once it overflows the columns. So the thing to do is just to wrap all our bots in another div. I'll just call it equals bots. And then move these guys up here, save that out, and now it works. Each NinjaBot here is not inline. It is display block by default because the wrapping element for it is a div, and all divs are display block by default. So if we go to bot and we say display inline block, they'll start behaving a little bit better and flow next to each other. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea that I had, is that as someone presses plus, you get more. With the 2 here, that actually fits really well. Although not that you would need the plus anymore once you have 2, if that's our max. We probably want this button to have another state that's like disabled. We'll get there. Are there any questions as we're kind of hooking all this stuff up?
Not really. I think it's a lot more intuitive than I thought it was.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
so intimidating.
Should not. I'm hoping that after this, it makes enough sense that you can just be like, oh, I can just fuck around. I can just try stuff. Admittedly, some stuff will break, but for the most part, the console is very quiet. There are no errors in here already. So if you see stuff, then it's real and happening. And I try not to save broken things in there. It still happens. Still happens. All right. All right. We don't actually want these guys. We want this to be data powered. We want the data coming into these things, this config value, which is just going to be an empty object for right now. And we're just going to pull config in like that. And then config is going to have all our values that we saved in our state. And our state is bot config. Bot config. Ta-da! So we'll have all this stuff in it that we can then use to go and get this stuff. So we're going to create it. We're going to fill the default values in, and we're going to make that happen. And then we're going to have hybrids set these things up and display them in that way. So if we go look at the roster, Ninja roster, I have a connected user store, which we're just kind of we're pulling it in like this so that we get an array of all of the connected users, and something else manages shoving those things in and doing that. You don't have to worry about it. This thing will always have a new updated array, and every time it gets updated, you get a new version, and your thing will get updated. It's freaking great. We then use map on it, and then shove that value in, and then we get the whole object inside of Ninja roster user. So this thing doesn't actually, Ninja roster user doesn't know anything about where the data came from. It just knows that whatever you're given is what you show. So if we go to Ninja roster user, we just pull in the whole, where's our freaking render? Here's our render. We pull in the whole user object, which we start as, I guess this is actually the correct way to do this. Please ignore the thing that I did earlier. And there's the style. There's some. The user roster is especially weird in that we have to ask a bunch of questions about where someone is to change the color of something. If you know how the roster currently works, is that as you get closer to someone, the color and the position indicator changes. So we take all of the position data in and use the current existing self-user information and compare that. Although actually that probably needs to be something else. But yeah, I won't worry about that too much. All of the logic for that lives here, and then you can worry about shoving data in over here. So it keeps this one nice and clean. Was that 55 lines? And then roster user can be as big as it needs to be, but you don't need to worry about where the data comes from. User score, kills, divided by user score, deaths, and blah, blah, all that shit is just right there. Look how simple that is. It's great. All right. We're going to go back to... we're going to the Ninja bot. We're going to properly... this thing. There it is. That's what it should look like. This is all in the hybrids docs, by the way, but it doesn't really matter because there's a bunch of examples that literally work. It's great. So this config will start with nothing. Let's go ahead and just say the thing that we want to look at is bot config. So I'm going to shove this over here, make a little bit more room. So now we can see we'll have ship, name, alignment, blah, 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 blah. So where's our name? Ship. Oh, wait. Ship name comes from somewhere else. It actually comes from the ship config. We have to go load that. I'm just going to put config.ship here. .ship. Which means that when I refresh this, it'll say nothing because config is empty. That's fine. When it starts working, we'll get there. I'm going to close this out. Okay, so back at NinjaBots, we don't want these guys anymore. We want this thing to have its state to come from up here. So we're going to say import bot config, which is our config state, from models is where I've put that, I think. Let me see here. So you can't just create the file, you have to add it to the export star from /bot config. All right, so that should now be in models. And then we go to bots, and what the hell was it? We're gonna say configs. It's probably bots. Let's just call it bots. And then we use store from hybrids, and we say, I act like I know what I'm doing, but I've only done this once. User, no, it wasn't that. It was in roster has the main one, and you just say store, and then you put the square brackets around it, and then magic happens. So let's go do some magic in Ninja Bots here. There's our magic. Boink. But we don't want this one. We want bot config. Okay. So no, not users. Jeez. Copy paste. All right. So now bots in here, when we extract it, should be an array of all of the bot configs that exist, of which there should be none at the start, but that's fine. So we're going to say, put some JavaScript, and we're going to say bots dot map. And what map does is it goes through each item and returns whatever you return from the function that you give it. So inside of this, we're simply going to pass it in, and then this is going to be the config. Maybe I'll just call it a bot. And then here's our arrow, and we're going to return our HTML, sharp quotes, new line, makes it nice and clean. And then we're just going to say NinjaBot big equals bot. So we're handing over the config straight over from bot, which comes from our enumerated store. Yeah, something like that. I don't have anything inside of it. I guess it's really that simple, is that we're just outputting Ninja bots with the bot config attached. If this works, there won't be errors, and there won't be anything here. Let's refresh. We got errors. Provided model definition storage does not support list action. What did I mess up is the real question. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm definitely messing something up. So the connected user store is the one I based this off of. Note how I just copied a bunch of stuff off of it. This used to be in memory. I'm gonna not do this right now because this is untested, and I think the thing it's actually telling me is that I've not implemented list, which is not. We just in memory. We're gonna be in memory for right now. That is fine. I'm just gonna take this whole part out, and it should just work. Okay, we have no bots, but I think in memory is totally fine. All right. So now we're gonna make one. How the hell do we make one? I think it's user connected users. This is it. Okay. So I'm gonna copy all this business because this is store.set user. I'm gonna have to copy some things here. This will be fun. Okay. We're gonna go over to bot config, and this is gonna have some stuff here. So we're gonna export get bot, and it's going to use our bot config, and it just kind of uses this as an array of all of the items, and then just finds inside of the array anything that matches the socket ID, because the socket ID is kind of the ID that everything uses once it's been connected. I guess bots can have another ID, like that's local, but we don't care about it. Probably, I'm not going to worry about it right now. We're going to have a remove. Oh wait, I just did remove bot. There we go. And we're going to get bot. And then this deletes it. I guess I should rename this to bot. 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 Okay. That should delete the values for all that and store bot. So this will get an existing one. Get bot by the socket ID. We would actually have a socket ID when we initially want to create these, actually. So using a socket ID is probably wrong. If we're limiting this to some really small value, then index is probably the thing that we care about. Socket ID is only when they're connected, but if we're managing them locally, we probably want an index of some kind. And this will just be an integer that we have that we'll reference and just increment based off of the number of bots that we have locally. I think that'll work. So we'll just change this all to index, and we'll use the index lookup. That'll be easy. Move by index, and there's index. I'm gonna change this to bot. Index bot set inside of bot config. What is user? Bot and index. Ta-da! Okay. I don't think we need type. That's for that other weird thing. We don't need type. Boop. Okay. I think this might actually work. So with index, that's the cool thing about this. You can just fuck with it anytime you need to. Let's refresh and see if we have any new errors. No new errors. All right. Now we're gonna catch a button click and do something. You guys ever done that before? It's gonna be great.
Kinda. It's really weird with Python.
It sounds
Basically,
weird.
you set up a bunch of checks in different locations on the screen based on like pixels.
Ugh. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go find our button. Here it is, ninja button icon plus, and we're gonna say on click equals, and then we're gonna do our fancy $sign and curly braces that lets us reference anything in the local scope. You know what? We're just gonna make a new constant. We can also call a function, but the making everything into a constant kind of is useful, and it becomes available in scope for you. So we're just going to call it addBot. All right. Equals, and then it's a function. Every function that you put down here for a click is going to automatically, by just saying the function name, it gets a reference to the host object by default. You can also hand it something else and then curry that over if you had some other specific value to set. But I don't right now, so we're just going to go ahead and set this here. And this is the host. If we need anything inside of it, I actually don't think we do. It doesn't do anything else for us. I think you can say host.bots, and then you'll be able to reference all of the configs here or something like that. But we're kind of using these helper functions that we made over in bot config. So we're going to use store-bot, which is supposed to go set a value. So we can set as many of these key values, and if we don't set them, they'll be defaulted. So over in addBot, I'm just going to say we're going to import store-bot over here. And we're going to say store-bot. Is it a store-bot bot?
Yeah.
Store-bot is you give it an index and you give it all the info. So this is the shape that it expects it to be in. Don't put the ID. It's going to manage it itself. And the first value is going to be the index. I'm going to say 0, or this actually needs to be counted. I'm going to ignore that for right now. We can only press the button one time. We're going to do ship A or B. Ship B. Name is Bozo. Bozo. Alignment, trend, attitude. I don't have a value for that. I'm gonna put one right now. I think it's like an index of some kind. Difficulty 0.5. Enabled false. An index. I don't think we need to set the index. I think that's like part of it. Yeah, when we say store-bought, index is simply part of it, and then it's shoved into the object at the end. So we don't need to set it. That's it. So if we click the add button, it should shove a new value in there. And then because we're mapping on those values, it should shove that into config, and we should get a Ninja bot. Let's see if that works. Boop. Boop.
Oh.
I did say we can't do it more than once, but yay, that actually
Yeah,
works.
there you go.
There you freaking go. Okay, so because this has all of the values on it now, we can start filling these things out. So ship A, we're gonna move this over to config.ship. So now it's the ship that we set. Config.name. Bozo. Now, actually, that goes here. We're gonna go to the input value equals config dot name. Boop. There's Bozo. And then it's the attitude, which I don't know. I don't care about filling these out just yet. We've done a lot of what we wanted to try and do here.
Yeah.
So let's fix the index. So the first thing that we would need to do is go get, actually, since I know that we have it and it's connected through the store here, we should be able to say host.bots.length. And we're just going to say that. So the index is going to be however many items are currently in the store. So if there's one item in the store, the index is 1 because the first index is always 0. Let's see if this works. Yep.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
One of the month.
Wow.
Right.
Looks like the issues go up as well as you click.
So this is how you develop in hybrids. It's crazy powerful, and all of this is now data powered without, I mean, like, you saw me set up basically everything for that. So the rest of this is kind of separate, and it's going to take a lot longer, and I didn't really want this to take that much longer than like an hour and a half, when it's now nearly 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that we got out the basics of this, and so the things left, I would say at this point, is to do. Always good to write this stuff out and talk about it, and because this is basically what I do for myself when I'm building a feature out and the time allotted is basically run out. We just talk about the things that you have left to do. So in this, we need limit number of bots to some number. We'll just set it as a constant. You could probably even like set it as a server configuration option, but for the most part, it is just kind of a client-side thing. We probably, oh yeah, I gotta make delete work. Make delete work.
Randomize button.
Bots connect when enabled. What were you saying?
Randomize button.
Oh, right, the random button. But like that's so easy.
Well, that has to be hard to be on the to-do list.
You could write it. You saw how easy it is to add buttons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out and chilling and making a cool feature. I want to get into the fun that is Pixie, because Pixie can do a whole lot and lets us do it without having to worry about things. It's not super debuggable in here, but at least you can. There's a bunch of things you can do to kind of mess with this thing, and it's super powerful. I can't wait to start building on it. Thank you
Cool.
guys.